Hello and welcome to the Fossil Huntress podcast. Today on the show, we're going to talk about one of the ocean's greatest predators, the mighty Megalodon. Around 34 million years ago, ocean temperatures plummeted, and this was in response to shifts in tectonic plates and a drop in atmospheric carbon dioxide. So South America and Australia were breaking away from Antarctica, and this created a change in the oceanic currents, and that affected the food cycle. So this was a time when mammals were diversifying rapidly. They were evolving new ways to feed and move about and to keep warm in our chilly ocean waters. And during this time, there was a rise in different sea mammals, and they became the tasty snacks for a group of apex predators that would take over our ancient oceans and peak out around 20 million years ago. So 20 million years ago, the apex predator of those chilly seas was the hulking cousin to today's great white shark. This was Otodus Megalodon, and he was the greatest shark ever to exist and the largest fish as well. So this big boy swam in at a whopping 50 tons and grew to 18 meters in length. So to give you some idea of scale, that's twice the size or more of an ankylosaur or a triceratops, larger than a Tyrannosaurus rex, and maybe a wee bit smaller than a brontosaurus. And from our modern oceans and their modern cousins, this is a full 3 times larger than deep blue, the 2.5 ton, 6 meter long shark that we found off Oahu in Hawaii's South Shore last year in 2019. So deep blue weighed in the equivalent of 2 Stonehenge Sarsen stones or half a house. So if you're picturing Megalodon, picture your house and now add another 1.5. So that's the size of the biggest Megalodon on record, and it really puts their size in perspective. We often estimate the size of an animal and what they ate by the size and shape of their teeth. So Megalodon had these large, serrated, jagged-edged teeth up to 18 centimeters long. So perfect for dining on dolphins and humpback whales. And these sharks had lots of them. So their mouths were lined with up to 276 teeth. And these were packed with a punch with one of the most powerful bites on record. And you and I have a rather paltry bite force of around 1,300 newtons. So that's the measure we use when you chomp down with gusto. We can measure that and we call it a newton. Back in 2012, we learned that the most powerful bite recorded from a living animal belongs to the saltwater crocodile. So Gregory Erickson of Florida State University compared 23 crocodilian species, and he and his team discovered that the largest saltwater crocodiles can bite down with an impressive 16,000 newtons, so puts you and I to shame. And that's more than 3.5 times the crushing force of the previous record holder, the spotted hyena. Spotted hyenas have an amazing bite force for their size. But still, our aquatic friends beat that, if only slightly. So a great white shark does indeed have a mightier bite than a crocodile. We've known that the estimated bite force of a great white a while longer. So back in 2008, a fellow named Stephen Rowe from the University of New England in Australia got together with some colleagues and used computer simulations to estimate the chomping pressure of a great white. And not surprisingly, they have an impressive chomp, even for their size. So 18,000 newtons, so greater than a saltwater crocodile, but a full 10 times less than Otodus Megalodon. So Otodus Megalodon, so this beastie takes the cake, or the whale, with a bite force of 182,000 newtons. It is amazing to think about something as large and majestic as a whale being on any creature's menu, but on the menu they were for Megalodon. So Megalodon could open their toothy jaws 3.5 meters wide, so that's wide enough to make a meal of a whale or to swallow you and a friend whole. I did up an image. I took a great white shark and put a very foolish scuba diver in the image for scale. So you're welcome to use that image free of license if you have a school project or something you'd like to use it for in a post. Megalodons were a bit more blunt-nosed in comparison to a great white. So they are cousins, but it's not a direct lineage. Megalodons hail from a lineage that broke off deeper in their hereditary history, so around 55 million years ago. We now know that Megalodon was the last of their lineage, and they're the great-grandbaby of Otodus obliques, and possibly another cousin who cruised our ancient seas 105 million years ago. So it's one of the creatures that is incredibly majestic from our extinct past, and I think you and I would probably both agree that I'm glad to swim in an ocean where they no longer swim about, but they were amazing creatures. So tomorrow's blog post on Archaea will be the Megalodon, and with that image of the scuba divers, you can have a sense of scale. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon.